Not only advises the executive branch of state government, but also defends actions and proceedings on behalf of the state. We'll hear first from Senator Stace Nelson, who is standing in for his friend Lance Russell. We'll be followed by Jason Ronsberg, and then we'll hear from John Fitzgerald.
Good evening, folks. No, I'm not an attorney. I'm here tonight to talk with you about an attorney that gives lawyers a good name. And that is my mentor and friend, Senator Lance Russell. I met Senator Lance Russell in my first years out here in 2011 and 12, when I had a rude awakening that South Dakota politics is kind of an unusual animal. I was naive enough to think that everything wore an R meant conservative. When I got out to Pierre, I found out real quick that there's a lot of liberals, and not all of them wear D's, and that the conservatives were actually in a minority out here. Tonight we're here to celebrate Ronald Reagan and Abraham Lincoln, but more importantly, we're here to celebrate the principles which those gentlemen represented, which were Republican principles. When we hear candidates talk about conservatism, we're talking about candidates that oppose tax increases. Matter of fact, Ronald Reagan was famous for cutting the budget. He was famous for believing in God and representing America. He was famous for being pro-life. He was famous for being pro-Second Amendment, pro-U.S. Constitution. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about Republicans and conservatives. Lance Russell is the only candidate in the Attorney General's race that has a proven record. Matter of fact, Senator Russell is known across South Dakota as being one of the top conservative Republicans in the state of South Dakota for 10 years. Those tax increases that we've seen, in the last 7 years, we've seen South Dakota's budget explode by 27%. In the last 7 years, we've seen some of the largest tax increases in the history of our state. Senator Russell opposed them as a good conservative Republican. Senator Russell was also a former state's attorney in Fall River County. He's prosecuted people, criminals, and put them in jail. More importantly, he's been hard on crime his whole time. But Senator Russell's life doesn't begin when he was an attorney. It begins further back than that. He's been a Republican all the way back to his college days. As a matter of fact, he was executive director, I believe, of the South Dakota Republican Party. Senator Russell is probably one of the finest conservative Republicans that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. He walks the walk and he talks the talk. When we see conservative in a Republican's commercial in South Dakota, that's riding on the coattails of actual conservatives like Ronald Reagan and Lance Russell. You ask any person that served in the South Dakota legislature in the last 10 years, and they cannot tell you without telling a lie that he is not one of the finest conservatives with one of the best records in the state of South Dakota. Folks, I'm asking you tonight, please support an actual good conservative Republican. And I'll leave you this. Today, Joe Lowe addressed the Democrats in Sioux Falls, and he begged the Democrats, protect us from Lance Russell. Even the Democrats know who the best candidate is for attorney general. Thank you, folks.